this Van Sennis kid beat up on us all the time. Not together. We decided one day we were going to get him, the two of us,
Okay.
and we could whip him together. Well, we couldn't whip him together. He was quite a bit bigger than us.
We got him.
But the guy he took after was me, because I was bigger than him. He was a little crapper. He had me on the ground with his knees on my hand, on my right here, holding me and slapping me across the face. And I looked up, and there was my savior brother with a BB gun, not over 4 or 5 feet from me. I shot him right in the ass. And if he's alive to this day, he's got a mark, I can tell you that. But he got up, and he chased Ed, and this was in a vacant lot next to where we lived. It wasn't very far to our house. And Ed got inside and latched the door with one of those hook things. And I got in the garage where I lock myself in there. And then he stood there inside that screen door, called him Fatso because he was a little heavy. Hey, Fatso, Fatso. No wonder he hated us. And we hated him. But,
How old would you have been then?
I also.
oh, we moved to Griffith when I was in the 5th grade, so I was probably in the 3rd grade, and he was in the 2nd.
So 8 or 9 maybe?
I
Well,
would,
Seven or
I
eight?
moved to Griffith when I was in the 4th grade.
well, yeah, I was in the 5th.
Yeah. But there was another time when we had a neighbor with a bunch of kids, you know, ratty kids. His name was Stoley. The Stoleys.
We got in trouble for that, too.
And the old man came out. He was mad at us for doing something. I don't know. But he had one of those old hats, you know, that.
Cap. Had a cap on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but the
Like jockeys always wore.
well, anyway, somehow there were potatoes around. He threw a potato, and I'll never forget because it hit him, Stoley, right in the top of the head, and there was dust coming out of his head.
Yeah, I threw that up over a bunch of trees. And I don't know how they were hit him, but it came down, he had a hold of Ed, and Ed was trying to get away. This is a band.
This is an adult.
And he came to our house and complained to my dad.
Yeah.
And Dad got mad at us because we were picking on his kids. We weren't picking on his kids, we were picking on Mr. Stoley. He was an idiot.
The Stoleys were, you know, they were trash, white trash, hillbillies, and. But I still remember the dust coming up out of that.
If I could tell you.
Boy, that kid, that Stoley let me go right then. And
We lived in
I
Hammond.
took off.
I walking around and said, Vince, your brother's down in a fight again. And then he talked. Ed was a little Dutchy when he talked, so they made fun of him.
yeah,
That's the way he talked. And his idea, when somebody made fun of him, was to hit him.
Wait, what do you mean by Dutchy?
Well, it kind of retarded.
Didn't pronounce
We thought
Didn't
until he was
enunciate
about
well,
in 7th
probably.
grade, we all thought he was retarded.
Yeah,
He'd be in an
sure.
institution.
when
He had a doctor one time at school. This is truth. We were getting shick test, which is a thing for what is the disease?
GB?
Maybe TB.
Yeah, it's TB.
And we had to have them.
Yeah, we did too.
And the doctor was giving him a shot, and it hurt him, and he hit the doctor. The doctor hit him right back, right there, slapped him across the face. He went over and told Mother, and Mother come back up there. We all thought Mother would stick up with, but she didn't. When she found out, she didn't know that Ed had hit him first.
Didn't tell her that half of the story,
No,
huh,
he
Grandpa?
didn't mention
I
that.
didn't remember that.
Just this mean old doctor and slapped him in the face. She said, well, I just slapped him too.
But I wasn't even in school when he was in first grade, and
I was in
we
kindergarten.
lived in apartments that you had to, in order to get to the school,
Yes, 41 you crossed.
a 4-lane highway. It was pretty busy. Went through the center of town in East Chicago, and we lived in an apartment. And somehow I got out, and I went looking for Vince. I called him Han at the time. That was
his Dutchiness.
his
I
name.
think I was in kindergarten.
But I walked down, got out of the apartments, walked down the street, and crossed that 4-lane highway.
How old were you? You were 4.
I was 4. And when he got into
Went
school,
and got into school, and my mother suddenly realized I was gone and went berserk. I don't know how she found out I was at the school. Whether the school called her and,
well, yeah, the school.
What's he doing here?
The school, you went down the hallways and somebody said, what are you doing here? And he said, I'm Han. And they didn't know who he was talking about. And he was 17 at the time.
I had my own dictionary.
But anyway, they called, the teacher discovered that it had to be my brother to call mother, who was frantic. Because these apartments we lived in, we lived up.
Those are still there, by the way. We
Yeah.
passed them last
yeah,
year.
those apartments, yeah.
They're in
Nice.
pretty good
They
shape.
fixed them all up. I mean, they're
The
well
Atlas
maintained.
Apartments.
There's still a sign out that says Atlas Apartments.
Yeah. Well, I was right down the road from Sinclair and the oil refineries.
We took that route up to Chicago. It wasn't last year, it was the year
Chicago
before.
was famous because that's where John Dillinger robbed the bank.
It was sad to go through there and see Sinclair.
They're gone. Everything's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And John Dillinger then was kept in jail at the
Crown Point.
Crown Point.
That's where he got out with
He
it.
broke out, didn't he?
Well,
Made a
gun,
fake gun from soap.
soap and made it look like a gun
Got out.
and scared them.
He was a
He was a
famous.
folk hero. He was
They've made
he
a-
was known
And
for
they
that.
They
used
made a
to go to
museum out of that
Wisconsin.
old courthouse there in jail.
They went to Wisconsin.
The Dillingers, or
Yeah, well, at
Capone.
that time, and to get to Wisconsin was
That was Al Capone.
well, Dillinger went too.
Oh, well, the place in Hayward is Capone's house.
No, Al Capone was up there. He had his place, but I think maybe it was Babyface Nelson. But one of them was up in.
Well, you see, in those days, you crossed the state line, you had trouble getting the guy back.
Yeah, you usually had to stop at the county line.
Those, county lines, I mean, and the state line. I mean, it was easier to be a crook.
And there was
Rob a bank and
there were no interstates or anything like that. The roads were
A
terrible,
lot of times they drove in where there wasn't any road.
particularly up.
Sometime
Up
we
there.
should take you to Al Capone's house over in
Oh, I've
Hayward.
been there. Yeah,
Oh,
I've
have
been
you?
there, yeah.
That's a neat thing.
But
a neat
I
place.
wonder, you guys know all this about being a crook back then, and you had an alias as Han. I'm not quite sure. There might have been some dirty dealings here, beating people up and throwing dirt.
I was
A
in
couple of
kin-
hooligans.
I was in kindergarten, aliases didn't mean anything to me.
I guarantee you, with our family.
But we never did anything that we weren't together growing up. I mean, we slept together for a long time.